Hello, welcome to the Ghana Agenda. My name is Alfred Amuzu. Today is June 25th, 2025, and today we have a very interesting show for you. Please call your friends, tell them Alfred Amuzu and the team are here, ready to go on the Ghana Agenda. In the meantime, we take a quick break, and when we get back, I will introduce the topics and bring my guests in so we can have a great conversation. We'll be right back.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama, really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services, as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
Are you 65 years?
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama, really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services, as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back to the show. My name is Alfred Amuzu. Today is June 25th, and today we have two things we are talking about. We are talking about transparency on the COVID expenditure that has been rendered, or the accounting on the COVID expenditure that has just been rendered by the Minister of Finance, and whether or not what has been presented is actually representative of what we know. What I mean by what we know is, before the Minister of Finance came to talk to us about what was spent, some 12 billion, he said. We've had also the Vice President shouting out some numbers when he did his presentation at the 10 conference. And also we had the President himself when he gave State of the Nation, provided another number. So what is the true picture of what was spent during the times of COVID? Was it the 17 billion? Was it the 12 billion that the Minister of Finance said, or was it the 8.2 or so, 8.5 billion that we heard from the vice president when he did his presentation. Then we're going to pivot. We're going to pivot to the United States and talk about Dobbs versus Jackson. Dobbs versus Jackson is a case that we just got the ruling on yesterday by the Supreme Court of the United States. And this case is about abortion. The two landmark cases on abortion before Dodd versus Jackson were Roe v. Wade, and then I think Casey versus the state of Pennsylvania or so, where Casey had affirmed or sided with what Roe v. Wade did. So we're going to go into the details of what this ruling that just came out yesterday implies. Of course, the ruling was leaked. We read it. It is likely to stoke emotions in people, but we want to get into analyzing the legalities. What exactly has the Supreme Court said here? And what is the implication for those of us who live in the United States? Whether you're a Ghanaian or whoever watching this show, what is the state of abortion as far as the laws of the United States is concerned? I am currently joined here by Lifetime Legacy, and I'm waiting for the rest of the team. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break so you can have the opportunity to share the link and invite others who may benefit from the show to also join. We would be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Hello, welcome to the show, Lifetime Legacy. Good to see you again. How's your weekend going so far?
Good to see you again, my brother. My weekend has been good.
Perfect. Anyway, so for those of you watching us, if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, this is a picnic week for the Airway Association of Washington, D.C. I believe strongly people are already on the park enjoying. Me, myself, I would change my location as soon as this program is over. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is at DC, there is barbecue going on by the Airway Association. The location is going to be 2000 Shawfield, Wheaton, which is Maryland, and the zip code is 20902. I'm getting joined by all the big boys. Let's also welcome to the show the venerable, the man of the hour, the organizing secretary of NPP in the Washington, D.C. area, who perhaps I'm expecting to also join the Airway community as we embark on this tasty of picnics where we'll be grilling all kinds of meats, pork, chicken, whichever you like. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So today we will be discussing two very important and at the same time controversial issues. The first one being COVID expenditure in Ghana. We know after multiple tries to get the Minister of Finance to come to Parliament and account to the people of Ghana how they've spended all the funds that were raised, about some 25 billion, we were told, on COVID, how those funds were spent. And that came actually last week, where we heard the Minister of Finance stating that 12 billion or some 12.5 or 12.6 billion or so were the actual expenditures that our government incurred on COVID. Then the second thing I want us to talk about has to do with a ruling that just came from the Supreme Court of the United States about abortions and whether the federal government should be involved in that or whether it should be sent to the states, as it were prior to Roe v. Wade. This ruling essentially overruled the holdings in Roe versus Wade, which is the prevailing judgment as far as constitutional issues on abortion in the United States is concerned. And so, without much ado, let me bring you in, Mr. Lifetime Legacy, to give us a little commentary here and there, and then we can jump into the conversation.
Thank you, Alfred. I'll use the opportunity to once again thank our viewers and listeners wherever they are, and also to extend my greetings to my brother Kojo for holding this program religiously. It has become a character of my brother. If anytime the table is hot and all odds are against him, as far as his party is concerned, he will muster the courage to come.
I don't think so, though. I think Afa is just a busy man. If I had made it possible for us to, have Kojo to represent him all the time. So
yeah,
and is he providing for us even if he's not here? But
I know you definitely defend my brother Ifa, and I know he's watching the show, and he himself will know
he's
that
he's gonna join us soon.
Yeah, he himself knows that what I'm saying is true. But I'll thank my brother Kojo for not having the courage, not being like my brother Ifa. We are expecting him to join the show. Anytime he's on the show, he makes the show so lovely. So wherever he is, he should join us. He should master the courage and join us. There will not be too much fire on him today.
I hear you. All right. Thank you for those comments. All right. So, Mr. Kojo, any preliminary thoughts, greetings before we get into the show?
Thank you, Amuzu. And thank you, Lifetime Legacy, my brother. As well, my deputy spokesperson for the USA is not running away. He has a busy schedule. He's not only here, he does here, Germany, London, everywhere. So by now, I know he will be somewhere trying to defend the party. And as usual, we thank the viewers and the listeners at the same time for making this show a very good one. And thank you, Amuzu, yourself, for always having the time, even when you're out of the state, you still make sure you host it anywhere you are. So thank you. We're also representing. We doesn't care whichever fire that comes. It's going to be propaganda. We understand that. We have to counter that propaganda from Lifetime Legacy.
They hear you. And
where is Paul? I haven't been hearing from Paul for a while. Why is he also running for the party?
I think Alfred, where is my brother Daniel?
Daniel, you mean, so Daniel is now billed for today, but we'll try to get Daniel back.
Yes, because it's also been a while, and my brother Ima also, it has been a while.
Yeah.
They should not run away. We know the kitchen is hot for them, but they should come. They should come.
Yeah,
they should master the courage like my brother Kojo have done.
Yeah, of course. Kojo's ambitions are, you could tell wherever he is, whether on the road or not, you can see he's a very ambitious,
which I like of him,
future politician, and
I like that of him.
He always
anytime
you have to have the courage, even when there's the hot weather where you can't touch the rod, you still have to touch it and cool it down. Maybe pour some water on it.
We hear you. Anyway, you're on the road, so be careful as you drive and talk to us at the same time. All right, guys. So over the week, we heard the Minister of Finance came to Parliament and presented his version of accounting of how the proceeds from COVID era donations, call it monies we got from the IMF, monies we got from the World Bank, Germany, Korea, etc., were spended. So accumulating all that together, the understanding is we brought in some 25 billions of CDs. And he says that 12 billion of that has been at the actual expenditure on COVID. We've also, of course, I don't know if you watch Newsfile today, the Deputy Minister of Finance gave some clarifications that, the rest of what was not spent, which is about half of what we raised, was used to support the budget because, of course, we ran one of the biggest deficits in 2020. So, at the backdrop of all that, it's a number that was previously provided by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, when he gave his speech on the economy, and he said we actually spent some 8 billion. And again, there's another clarification that we got on that 8 billion as well, because what the Deputy Minister of Finance was saying was that 8 billion was the expenditure up to 2021 or so, or 2020, and that since then there has been some additional 3.5 or so million that were spent, and if you put all that together, you actually get to the 12 billion that the Minister of Finance has reported when he was in Parliament the other day. Also, we know that our president, in his State of the Union address earlier in the year, had quoted a figure of 17 billion as what has been spent on COVID-19 so far. So it seems we have three different numbers, and people, like myself and yourself, I'm sure are thinking and battling with which is really which. Is it the 17? Is it the 8? Or is it the 12? Let's start with the government side, which is my brother, Kojo DC. Kojo, you are on the government side. I mean, are we supposed to be confused, or do you have a solid explanation for the differences between the numbers and from where you sit? What has been spent? What is our actual expenditure on COVID?
Thank you very much again, Amazu, and my brother, Lifetime. Okay, so I agree with you. If you permit me, I'm going to off my camera because I'm driving, so that I can still speak and focus. So you guys should just with the kids. I think you saw them behind me, so I have to be careful whilst I'm but I can make sure I can speak whilst I'm driving. All right. So I understand there's some discrepancies in terms of the figures that has been brought out, but I think I was able to listen to the finance minister. I think that was it on Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was Wednesday. But I'm not sure of the figure because I'm driving. I would have the full statement that was sent to Parliament. But I think the figure was 19 billion. That's how much it was raised. And out of that 19 billion, and I stand to be corrected, you said 25 billion, but I didn't think I hear anything of 25. And I know I'm like 99% sure that it was about 19 billion that was raised in terms of the covered funds. And that put aside...
The 25 billion is what you had in the budget. I think it's a 22 budget where you showed, the 25? Source of... 25 billion.
Okay, so I know we are just basing this on the on the statement that the Minister of Finance took to Parliament. That was just a few days ago. So I think that's what and out of that, they said 12 billion was spent, and for some, in the same statement, it says that I think about 6 or 8 billion was used to support the budget in terms of revenue loss through the COVID-19. All the expenses was given. You see, whatever we'll do once we are in government, there's always going to be questions people are going to ask with numbers. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be done. The only thing we have to do, we have so many agencies and departments that can reconcile all these figures that are putting out there. And if you listen to the speaker himself, he said, yes, the finance minister have done his job. He has come to them. He has brought us all of that. It's up to members of parliament. That is committees that and finance, health, education, and then I think a couple of them, they should go in there and scrutinize everything that the finance minister put out there. So for me, even though, like I said, I'm driving, I can't give you all the figures that we all have the figures, how much was spent on this, how much was this. The most important thing, which is I'm emphasizing on, the most important thing is that Parliament owns it as a duty to make sure whatever the finance minister brought to them, they should go to every length and breadth of the country, make sure all those expenses were really spent on those things, and account for and bring it back to the House and say, yes, whatever that he said was true or was not. And that will be the only basis that we can say, yes, the money was spent in a good way or it wasn't, or it was spent that the money was used for other things other than what is the finance minister can. For now, we will all be congesting, bringing out all kinds of conspiracy theory that people have shared the money among their what do you call it, party members, and that we've had all those things going on. The fact is always the best thing. We should bring out those things, and as members of parliament, I don't think, and I have to be sure, I don't think the NDC will go out there and cover anything for the finance minister, because it's going to be committee which is shared by both parties. And nowadays, because the party, the members of parliament is divided, which is almost 50-50, the members on every committee is the same, even though it's headed by one, which is the majority group. So for me, I will wait for this thing to be done, and then we can see all the discrepancies that we have in terms of the numbers. The vice president giving one, the president giving one, the finance minister giving one. The finance minister, for God's sake, is the one who has all the finances of our country in his hands. He knows all the figures and how much he has spent and how much he has not spent. So let's wait for Parliament, which is the supervisory body of our politics, or what I would say in our government, that they have the upper hand to ask for any document that will support what the finance minister. For me, let's wait for that and see what happens. And if anything comes out, we'll go on from there. That's what I have to say on that one.
All right. So the Minister of Finance is the one who actually runs the finances of the country and should definitely be the one to have all the right numbers to show us what your position is. And so what he says goes. But we are saying that,
Don't you agree with me with that? Because he owns the finances of the country. The president, we've seen this in time to time, that presidents are giving numbers or projects that are either being done or sometimes they say it's completed when they even have not started anything with it. So mostly the speech writers bring in all sorts of things, and then at the end of the day, it becomes when people cross-check and find out it's not right. But when it comes from the finance minister, and then he comes to parliament, where you cannot lie under any oaths, that means you'll be in trouble. I think I will go with the finance minister's figures, and then let's make sure all those money was spent well and actually not going through any party apparatchiks or spending at anything otherwise.
Well, just so I understand this, right? So the president speaks one number, the minister of finance speaks another number. But what you're telling me is that don't believe the president, believe the minister of finance instead. And the president said these numbers in parliament as well, as part of his State of the Union speech. A couple of months before, the Minister of Finance just showed up and provided a completely different number. So your thinking is that because the Minister of Finance is the minister in charge of the sector, that he should be believed rather than the president. So
I am not saying that. I'm not saying that. You see, sometimes there are assumptions of the pandemic is not yet over, right? We are still spending as we speak. The numbers of the people who have been affected is increasing. So I am not saying I don't believe the president. There might be an assumption that up to whatever by the close of the year. This is how much will be spent and how much maybe we are anticipating to spend. Is there those things are all what we all call semantics. You never know. We might have to disagree, but at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. And you're a numbers guy, you know numbers never lie. The numbers
Right.
will show everything up. So let's, like I said, now is in the balls of Parliament. They should go in there and prove whatever the finance minister says is wrong or is right, and then we can go on from there as people.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So lifetime legacy. You've heard my brother. He's saying that sometimes it could be lost in the semantics, right? That the president meant to say one thing and says another thing. It happens to all of us, right? Sometimes I usually will quote a different date. I'll say, oh, today is June 24th, when in fact it's June 25th. So it does happen. But here we know that the president was really emphatic when he came to Parliament and said what was spent was 17 billion, which is in variance with what has been reported by other officials of the administration. You know, hopefully there's no motive that we are reading into this that somebody is being corrupt or hiding anything, but are you able to reconcile these numbers yourself? And what other additional questions do you have in your mind that perhaps we can have our brother try to clarify for us? My understanding of what he said so far is that it could be lost in the semantics. It's not necessarily, but the numbers are the numbers. That's whatever the sectorial minister comes, he should be speaking to the numbers, and those are the ones we should be working with.
Alfred, thank you once again for the opportunity, and thanks to our listeners and viewers. Alfred, you can clearly see how my brother Kojo is struggling to defend the indefensible. You see, there is a common saying that those that the gods want to kill, they first made them to go naked in public. That is exactly what is happening to this government. They came on the back of promising Ghanaians, describing a certain government or the party that I belongs to, or the government that I was a member to a party, with all sort of corruption that does not even exist. Unfortunately for them, they've gotten the chance, and the record we are seeing here, it's nothing to talk home about. Alfred, the president that I know, Akufo-Addo, when I had gotten the chance to be not to be closer, but I've been close. I have gotten the chance to meet him in state occasions.
Right.
And when you take a critical look of him, you notice that he's someone who read everything that has been presented to him.
He's widely read.
Yeah, he reads virtually everything, and I have, like I said, many occasions in state functions, either close or afar, and you notice that every material that he chances his hands on, as far as the program lineout is concerned, he read everything. So I'll be extremely surprised by the seeing from our brother sense in NPP that it might be a slip of a tongue, or it might be an oversight from the president for turning out a certain figure, and his vice a month later also turning out a different figure. And here we are, the person who is also holding the public purse or the nation's purse is also turning a different figure. But all is expected, because just about less than a month or a little over a month now, the cat was let out of the box, where I think Upper West, or one of the regional vice chair of the MPP, in seeking a re-election, she was being accused of diverting COVID money into her personal account. In trying to defend herself of wrongdoing, the woman ended up giving out a extraordinary revelation that we've all have been suspecting the party of.
Right.
All along, prior to the 2020 election and after 2020 election, we in the NDC were of a view that most of the resources the government made through COVID, which was supposed to help the nation, have been diverted into the campaign. And myself and other communicators of the party have expressed this opinion on various platforms. Little do we expect that the cat will be let out of the box by their own party member,
Right.
which came to vindicate the NDC members and other communicators of NDC, vindicated our position.
Mhm.
And it has come as no surprise why the finance minister have to be running away from accountability, or let me say the MPP government and the party have been running away from accountability simply because there is a wrongdoing. I will say there was a wrongdoing. That is why they were running away from accountability. And notwithstanding the kind of figures they are, the presidency is saying one thing, the vice is saying another, and the finance minister is saying another thing. In a likely event, one would have expected that the figure the finance minister and the vice president put out, because the two belongs to the economic management team, their figures should have been the same. But even among the economic management team, the vice president is saying one thing and the finance minister is also saying another. The deputy finance minister is also saying different things. So clearly, like I said in my intro, if the God wants to kill you, they first expose you. That is the state the MPP and the Nanado and his government have found themselves in. They accuse a government, an innocent government, of corruption, and as for them, the corruption, it's too obvious. It's too obvious. And Alfred, I am glad that the parliament is going to institute a probe into this. And I can tell you on authority, by the time they are done with this probe, you and I, our guests, will be good. The kind of things we've been hearing, the kind of things we'll be seeing, as far as what we perceived of this government will come to the reality.
Right.
And for me, it saddens my heart that the people that has contributed to the suffering of Ghanaian, that the money that is meant for COVID, because the government have not used that money judiciously, because they've diverted the money. Some have diverted into their private stock, and some have also used it to win election at all costs, or they have used it to buy election at all costs. That is what has put the economy to the extent that Ghanaians have to be paying the price at this time, and they are using it to defend. They are using it in their defense. They are blaming COVID that have resourced them so much and Ukraine on it. So we expect something better.
Some of what you're saying, people will say these are borderline criminal acts that you're alleging. All right. So a government official routing state funds to his private endeavor, or whether it is to win re-election or etc., that's criminal. And
Alfred,
here we are.
If it is criminal,
yeah.
You see, in all this while, we were of opinion, okay? And our opinion have been solidified, so it's no more allegation. We've now have a full information.
Well, I'm
virtue of what the woman came to tell us.
Because you haven't really done, and and to my ears, the question I really wanted to ask.
Okay.
Parliament currently has about 137 NDC MPs sitting, and
136.
136. Okay, and what you're alleging is okay, considering that the
Considering that the MPP
At
judges,
Central.
the considering that the MPP judges have injuncted the Central MP.
Okay.
Lifetime legacy. You know me and you. We shouldn't be undermining our what do you call the judges,
Anyway,
because
but
that's one thing we have to be very careful with.
definitely,
You know what I'm saying is the reality.
Yeah. So the question is, you have 136 MPs in Parliament, and you are here making allegations of criminality about that was have been confessed to sort of by candidates from the ruling party. What prevents you guys from taking this matter up?
Alfred, that is what
radio popularism.
That is what we are doing. You notice that the finance minister and the MPP government were avoiding accountability. It took the intervention of the minority and the Speaker of Parliament to get the finance minister into the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it is not just that we are on radio seeking to win popularity, but an action has been taken by, I think a motion was moved by Komra Mita Kando and also Mutaka Mubarak.
Right.
So that is what have pushed them for the speaker to admit their position and make a pronouncement on it that until the finance minister comes to render an account, they are not going to consider anything from his ministry. Other than that, the government, Nana Dankwa's government, would have continued to be running away from accountability. So we are not just making a radio or pronouncement in the media, but our representatives are also taking action to hold them to accountability.
Let me jump in here.
Okay.
See,
Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, this is the situation. You see, a very good friend of mine said something. Anytime you see a politician going on radio and screaming and does not go to court or head up to court, it means that whatever they are saying is just for political gain. Nothing in there. Listen, the finance minister went to Parliament. Even if I have to admit that somebody has said that some money of COVID money was given to them in the electionary time. Of all the 16 questions that were said in Parliament, none, I'm saying none of the NDC members who are using that on TV and radio did not pose that question on parliamentary hazard. None. And I'm just saying this because on Wednesday, I happened to be at home. I didn't go anywhere. So I sat down and listened to every question, the whole statement the finance minister read on the floor. Sat in there for 2 hours answering questions. And after the 2 hours, because the House rules permit that the question and answer is supposed to be just an hour, even though it's supposed to be like that, the finance minister stood in for 2 hours, hand over to the deputy minister to do all the questioning and answering. And I'm telling you, all the 16 questions that were posed there, nothing of like, oh, we heard somebody, we pose this question, because they know it's untrue. And Parliament is a house of records. So if you have any question in terms of somebody using the money for politics in terms of the 2020 election, I know they are our former president. I also said the same thing, I think, when it came to Boston or something, that, oh, yes, it's true, COVID is affecting every country, but in our situation, the government used the money for elections, which is totally untruthful. It's false. If they have any concrete evidence in terms of we using the money for our elections, they should prove it. It's unlike on the outside in 2016 when there was money, they use it for electioneering, which is proven,
You
which is
don't have any
documented.
evidence for that neither.
It is
So
documented. It is documented. It is all documented.
documented where?
He knows it.
I mean,
Yes.
if that is also a thing, I think your parliament would have already revealed that, right?
No. You see, that's the thing. It's not my parliament, bro. It was stated in the budget that the money was used for this purpose. It's fully documented.
It was used for
In
campaign.
ours, yes, for campaign. It was some part.
No.
It's not all the money. It's not all the money. Some part of the money was used for campaign.
That's not in any
Some
budget.
part of the money, yes, I'm telling you, some part of the money
Which
was
year's
supposed to be
budget are you
building a
talking
hospital.
about?
But I was let me learn.
Yeah, I want to be able to put the budget up so we can look for that language, because I don't see.
Don't worry. Once we speak, I can't give you today. But once I get home, I have to. I might be mistaken putting that as in the budget. It was a statement that was issued by one of the NDC people. There was also allegedly, let me put it in that way, that money, some part of the money, was used for election. Almost $6 million was used for election instead of, they say, election research. Very good. Election research for the NDC. And was supposed to use that money to build hospitals. Listen, if somebody is said making
Again,
a campaign,
you are alleging criminality here.
I am the alleged. That's why I said, let me
And you have
revise it and
majority
say
in parliament.
alleged.
So if there is such a thing, I believe your government should pursue it as well. You have an attorney general, you have a special prosecutor. You can't be saying these things as though it's normal. This is abnormal.
That's what, hold on. Let me say this. I agree with you 100%. You see, sometimes the NDC have the infantry of coming on radio and allege and say anything, because my government, I would say on this platform, has failed to prosecute said things while we are in government. You see, we're supposed to be hauling these people into court and answering for all the things that they did, that we alleged they have done. And that, just to be true with you, all this is allegation. Until proven guilty, nobody is guilty, right? Until a competent jurisdiction is proved negative. But the NDC have all those infantries because we are not doing anything with them. We're saying it. We know it happened. Why are we not prosecuting them? Are we afraid sometime it'll come to your turn? And that's not how we govern. We understand.
Anyway.
I'll be blunt with you on that one. So, but for somebody, now let me just finish on the point that I wanted to make.
Right.
That my brother, Lifetime Legacy, is saying that they have the cards already from the box because somebody was campaigning and he said, "Oh, they gave me a covered money." What documentation shows that money was a covered money from the finance minister? There should be a documentation for it. And this time, the speaker have given them to probing, and we are waiting one day. And I don't think it should take long, maybe 2 months. They should come out and say, this is a money that was given from the covered funds that was given to party people to make campaign. And I'll be glad. On that day, I will be defending the NDC if that thing had happened. And I know for sure my party will never do that. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
No, let me go to Paul DeSoso, who just joined us, and I think that is in answer to Kojo's prayers, because Kojo was asking where Paul was, and here we go. Welcome.
All right. I wanted to do a few rebuttal from the statement.
You have the
made
opportunity to do that. Let me bring Paul in. I think.
Well, I'll fire you small, so you come, right?
Because you and Paul are on the same side, I'm sure Paul will probably say some of the things you are going to say. So, Paul, the issue we are discussing is COVID accountability. We know that so far 3 figures have been proffered. We had the Minister of Finance saying that the total that was actually spent, as somebody corrected me, not spended, but spent, it's in the region of some 12 billion cedis. The Vice President, in his speech to us when he spoke at, I think, was it Winneba 10 or one of the tertiary party wings, he told us that the amount that was the actual expenditure on COVID was 8 billion. Now the president, when he went to speak to us during the State of the Nation, he said the country so far spent $17 billion. So in my mind, I don't know which is the real figure. Do you have the same feeling? Kojo has, said maybe, because today listening to Newsfile, I think the Deputy Minister of Finance was able to reconcile the difference between what Baumia said and what the Minister of Finance said. But we really can still reconcile the 17 billion with all that has been so far given out. Where do you stand on this? Are you also confused as I am? Kojo has been giving some explanations, and I don't know if you listen to him, but what do you think is happening here? I think you're on mute, so we cannot hear you, Paul. We still can't hear you. Okay, Paul, check your sound. You don't show as mute on in application in StreamYard, but your sound could be that your microphone is not working, or check your computer to see if you didn't mute the mic on the computer itself. Still can't hear you. All right. So we wait for Paul to see if his mic will come.
He doesn't have anything to say. That's why.
You think so? Okay, let me take the opportunity to welcome Dr. Ato Kwamina-Danso, who I'm sure heard a bit of what we said. But Dr. Ato, welcome to the show.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on this show. And
right.
I just want to
so we'll get back to after Paul. So Ato, just hold on tight. Paul, go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity that has been given to me to be here to, present my case. I just want to state here and there that, look, the propaganda, the mischief, okay, the throwing of dust, okay, the distortion of fact, okay, the visionless and the directionless government, and the view and the way they've been presenting churning figures has been something that is a worry that we all should be worried about as intellectuals over here.
Right.
I believe Dr. Atu and my good friend who just spoke, will not in any way, if they own a business, okay, allow different accounting processes to be presented to them. This is the case. We are having a vice president saying that the total COVID cost is 8 billion. The president of the country saying that data from the finance ministry shows that we spent 17 billion so far, and then the finance minister goes to parliament, she says 12 billion. Which of them should we take? You see,
Kojo is saying we should follow the finance minister because he's the sector minister and he has the right information.
Kojo is playing mischief. He's just playing mischief this afternoon. You see, when you have a government who are visionless, who are directionless, who do not understand what we call economy, and who do not know what they are doing, this is the way they will behave. They will always throw dust into the
Paul, say something again. Let's see if I can hear you. No, I can't hear you still. Okay, something happened to Paul's audio. Okay, so while we wait on Paul to get his audio straightened up, all right, so while we wait for Paul to straighten, Paul, can you hear us now? Okay, so let's have Paul come through again, and then we'll continue that part of we'll take that part of his presentation. In the meantime, Dr. Ato, we're hearing different figures from the various institutions that really are in charge of managing our COVID expenditure. Minister of Finance saying something different from what the president says, different from what Baumia says. So people are confused. People are like, what is the real number? Is this the same issue we had with similar to what we've seen during the election results, where different figures were being put out? So what should we believe? I mean, Do you have an understanding? Are you able to understand the various numbers that were given to us and reconcile them yourself?
My friend, no. Like no one can really understand this than to sympathize with Kojo and say that let's agree with the finance minister because he's the man in charge of the figures.
Right.
I'm telling you, I'm very disappointed in this government. I am. So these days, I don't even pay attention to whatever they say because I'm very disappointed. I don't know what direction we are going as a country.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really disappointed with. I mean, my profession is just more so with the cathedral issue so much that I don't know what our priorities are as a nation anymore.
Right.
I'm I'm getting fed up with this government. It's appalling. And then you think that Baumia, if you're coming out to say anything, you consult with the finance minister.
Right.
Don't just come and just throw any numbers out, and then when someone comes behind you and corrects it, then we are confused as to who do we listen to.
Right.
So, Alfred, these days I'm very disappointed. I don't know where our country is, and it's sad. And I can only agree with my brother Paul. For the first time in a long time, I don't agree with him. I call him Saul.
This is historic now. Paul and Ato agree on the same thing.
Yeah, because these days, like you cannot trust anything government is saying. Government says
my senior comrade Paul will offer you a membership card today.
No, he will not. He will come and lambast me. I know for sure he will not appreciate anything I do. But I'm being serious. Although the finance minister is supposed to be the one we should listen to, Baumia, you cannot just come and say, and he's not just, excuse my language, any ordinary person like that. So I
mean, the question too is whether we should even be believing the finance minister himself, because he's kind of demonstrated some sort of arrogance on this matter, especially when they've had almost 2 years standing invitation for him to just come and account to the country how this COVID expenses were being done.
I agree with you. I mean, he was just dragging his feet. It was as if, like I said, the optics are really bad. The optics, you would think that this Harvard graduate would come up and act like one. But these days, it's like he's very like a physical, like, I don't know what's really going on with him. The man, I trusted him really well, but he's not shown. He's creating more doubts in my head about what he's doing and what he's trying to hide. Which doesn't augur well for all of us. He's saying the truth, but the options are really bad for this government. It's really bad.
Even if he's saying the truth and Baumia is not saying the truth, about the president who comes to State of the Union.
Exactly.
And who's supposed to have gotten those numbers from the Minister of Finance. So does it all boil down to the Minister of Finance? Like wherever he wakes up today, that's where he pulls the numbers from and things. So in every single time somebody approaches him from the administration looking for the correct numbers to spend,
Can you hear me now?
It seems he gives a different number. Yes, we can hear you, Paul.
Okay. It's appalling. I don't know who can give a real defense about this. It's like this is indefensible. How can you defend this? A government that's right now, it's like we don't have any leadership. I agree that we are supposed to listen to him, but Baumia with such pedigree should not be coming out to be giving wrong figures. And anybody who has doubts about these issues is right to cast doubts in these issues, because government is very inconsistent. Just like even the cathedral, they said, we are not going to put any money. Even the Attorney General insisted that government is not. And then later they talk about seed money. It's like it's very inconsistent, and I cannot see but be disappointed in this government. I don't know what Kojo said that I would agree with him. There's no excuse. There's no defense about this.
Right. Wow. Whoo, Paul.
Yes, okay. Let me
expecting this one, but of course, we need to return the fair title back to our Dr. Ato Komedada. So, what do you think?
I still disagree. Let me make my submission. So,
all right, please go ahead.
Let's have as stated. This is the most visionless, directionless, useless government ever in the history of the Fourth Republic.
Okay. Why do you say so?
I'm saying so because this is not the first time, this is not the second time, this is not the third time whereby there has been a lot of conflict of figures from the president, the vice president, and various sector ministers. Mr. Amuzo, look, as we speak, this finance minister is taking Ghanaians for granted.
Right.
Okay? You and I, we all know that the figures, the economic indicators he presents to the Parliament of Ghana is not the same information you go and present to the IMF when you go to the IMF. They present different figures to them, which is a concern to all of us on this platform. We discuss over and over again. That's my first point. My second point is about this COVID money. This money are you and I, our taxes, and other people from other countries. Their taxes, which their government sees that Africa need help and they went to help them. Why can't you account for them?
Right.
When you go to the website of the Ministry of Finance, okay, per their own figures and data, the total amount of money that they got as a result of COVID 2020-2021 is 25 billion Ghana cedi.
Correct.
As we speak, there has been conflicting figures from the president, the vice, and the minister of finance. Okay. Now, this is a minister of finance who have as many as 16 questions in parliament he's supposed to go and respond to. He has refused to go to parliament.
Right.
The reason why he was forced to go to parliament 2 days ago was that there is a 1 billion bill that he's asking parliament to approve, and
they're refusing to do it.
Parliament refused to even admit that bill until he presents himself to answer the questions that has been put to him.
Correct. So would you say he even gathered the numbers in a rush and perhaps may have been making mistakes in some of this?
No, Mr. Amuzo. If you're a liar, you continue to be lying and you continue to be lying, and lying will catch up with you.
Right.
I've told you, and we all know that, and I've said that Ghana's economy, the reason why we are in this economic mess is because of this finance minister and this Nanado government. They are not in the position to manage the economy of our country.
Right.
Stuff is cheap. When they were in opposition, they made a lot of noise. They threw dust into the eyes of common Ghanaians, telling them that there's money, Ghana sitting on gold mine and all those stuff. When they've come to government, they've been the government that have borrowed over every government just within 4 years in government.
Right.
You see, now, Kojo DC is telling us that we should take the finance minister's figure, which is the 12 billion. Look, I also equally listened to the news file this morning. The deputy minister could not even convince me with those explanations he was trying to give.
Right.
There is a lot of questions to be answered. And I think the Speaker of Parliament has done the right thing to set up a committee to look into these figures.
Yeah, I think I told Faustin I'd asked for one. So
exactly. I can bet you, and I can bet my last dollar on this show that after the committee do a genuine work without the vow of political party influence, it will come out that this incompetent, visionless, directionless government has squandered the COVID money. And it is on record. One of their DCs said during the COVID time, they shared the COVID money for them, which Kojo DC, I heard him saying that it's not true. Somebody has come out to put a statement over there. You are here, doubting it. I am also making the statement over here that Ghana should arise. Everybody, all politicians, all citizens, CSOs, we should arise and put this government in check. It is too much, and they've been lying to us, and the line continue. We need to put a stop to the lies they've been telling us, the figures they've been telling which are not true. We need to put a stop to it. Ghana is going to collapse, and if all of us don't rise up, including Kojo DC, including Dr. Atu, including Ifa, if we don't all rise up to stop and say true to this government, Ghana will turn back to the 80s, whereby we kill for common kinky. I rest my case.
All right, but Paul, on the issue of the lady who said, COVID money came, she got some 50,000, etc. We are saying that if there's some truth to that, I think you have the numbers in Parliament to investigate it. Why are you not investigating that?
Mr. Amuzo, that is why the minority in Parliament is asking for a bipartisan committee to look into this COVID, funds, this COVID monies. Look, I can attest over here. I'm not saying I saw it myself. when I was in Ghana during the 2020 election to support, when you go to Circle, the market in Circle, they were there sharing money. I saw it with my naked eyes. So I don't know what this is talking about. They share the money and they use those COVID money to buy votes. And this is why we are today. So for me, I support the call for a bipartisan, investigation into this COVID money. Let's bring experts on board, CSOs on board. Let's devour of politics. Let's go into the money and make sure that the money is accounted for as it's supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul Disosu of NDC Massachusetts chapter. Thanks for those spirited submissions. So, guys, I don't know if anybody wants to do any last-minute comments on this issue. Otherwise, we should.
Yes. I really want to, but then I want. So listen, Paul and Dr. Ato and everybody, listen. If you guys are telling me that because there are discrepancies in the numbers, which I think is understandable, nobody should fault anybody being confused anywhere. That is true. By the end of the day, have we called the vice president to come to parliament and account for the money that was received? Have we called the president? No. We called the finance minister because everybody knows the finance minister is the one that owns the purse of the country. Every finances go through him. All expenditures go through him. All expenses go through him. Everything that we do goes through him. So at the end of the day, this is the work of parliament. We don't need any committee to set up. We have the finance committee who has all figures within the government agencies, ministries, agencies, and MMDCs. So yes, he has brought in some numbers. If you people think he's lying, you have the right to go and investigate. So why don't we all have that patience and say, okay, this is what we have brought about, and whatever the finance minister brought, it's not the right numbers. Then we can talk about. But now we are assuming that, the money was used for other purposes, or the money was squandered through the party people or the government. But you guys are not giving me any figures contrary to what the finance minister came with. Yeah, you might have your doubt, which I cannot take from you. But at the end of the day, why don't we get the right figures, or whatever you guys will come out with and say, whatever he said, we had $27 billion instead of $19 billion that we had for the COVID money. The $12 billion that was spent, we had less than $12 billion that was spent. If that thing comes out, then we can talk. But now you're just taking side and assuming at the end of the day, we don't trust this government, so whatever they say, we are not taking it. Is that how we can live in a country?
But you are telling us that we should take the word of one man, and we do have checks and balances.
In terms of the figures, in terms of
we should not have the check and balances operate.
Amuzu, please. I'm talking about figures and money that had spent, and that money was spent through the finance minister, not Dr. Baumia, not even though he's part of the government. But we all know all monies are spent through one channel, which is the finance minister, control accountant general. If that money has been spent, and also remember, we have the public account committee, which is headed by the NDC. We have all the advantage to see everything that comes, if it's true that we spend that money or if not. So why don't we just wait? This is the money that was put in now. At the end of the day, we'll find out, so the $25 billion the president was saying, at least it was the money. The finance minister was lying. He's reducing the money so the government won't look better. We'll find out all of those things when the time comes. But now
when is going to be that time?
No, the speaker has given them, I think, up to October to bring the numbers for this year, not 3 years. He has already given the ultimatum of by October they should be able to bring all this probe to a conclusion. So why don't we wait?
You called the finance minister to come and testify to what expense, how the monies were spent, and you are saying that he couldn't provide all the numbers, and therefore he has to come back in October to tell us, No.
Listen, he made the account of every expenditure that was spent and the money that was received during the COVID-19. And then he gave that statement. I have the copy of it, and he gave it. He answered all those 16 questions. And like I was saying earlier on, all the 16 questions that were asked, nobody asked, we'll give this money to DCE for COVID money for politics. No, none of them was answered. But what I'm saying, that after the finance minister have come to parliament and account for all those things. What the speaker said, thank you. You've done a good job through the COVID and all of that. But for now, we are not just going to take your numbers and just go and sleep. So in this time, all the various committees should go ahead, which means because the COVID money was spent through the Ministry of Health, Education, and a couple of them. So he said, we are not going to set up any other so-called committee to investigate this. All these committees has the power to subpoena for any document and anything that they want. They should go ahead and do whatever.
I thought the minister of the parliament, the speaker set up a committee for looking.
No.
Okay.
No, there was no committee. He said the same committees that were already in existence should go ahead and do their job. They were supposed to do their job even before the prime minister will come in there. So there was nothing like a new committee that was set. None.
Okay.
Okay,
So
DC keep on throwing dust into the eyes of your listeners this afternoon. What the speaker said was the speaker directed the finance and the health committee in parliament to go back and look into the figures because the figures does not tally.
So no. So hold on.
It's not everything that.
Yeah, one at a time. Let's all finish.
Let me let him answer this question. Did the speaker set up a new committee beside the existing committee that he asked them to go and
let me state it over here once again.
Yes.
It's not everything that should come here and defend. This is undefensible. I am telling you for a fact. And
Alfred,
if you can look at the
video, I wanna let him answer.
Can I make my submission? Alfred, I am saying that these figures are not figures that has been manufactured by anybody from the opposition. These are figures from the NPP finance ministry that we are questioning. And I am saying over here that do you remember that Akando once raised an issue to open a committee to investigate the COVID funds that was given to Ghana? And then the first deputy speaker of parliament, Joe Oseogusu, was sitting in the chair. He refused to allow that to pass. Do you remember?
Right.
That is why, based upon that, based upon the inconsistencies, based upon the figures, that different figures we are hearing, that is why the Speaker of Parliament deemed it fit direct. There's a difference between directing a committee to go back to look into figures than a committee is supposed to do its job. So please, Kojo DC, I am telling you this afternoon that it's not everything that you have to defend. This, you cannot defend it. Most of the LPP gurus in Ghana are not defending it. Don't come here this afternoon and throw dust into our eyes. This is wrong. The funds is Ghanaians, money meant for Ghanaians to be spent to support Ghanaians. Your party and your president have squandered the money and they have to account for it. Simple, short, and period.
Right.
So it's you who's throwing that into the Ghanaians people. No. Let me respond. He has mentioned me. Let me respond to this because the reason is just simple.
1 minute so we can.
Yeah, the reason is just simple. Yeah. He's saying we have squandered the money. What figures that the opposition party have brought? They are members of parliament. They have all the documents that's supposed to be given to them. They have it in their hands. Where is it? And then the second thing has the speaker set up any new committee beside the finance and the health committee that's already in parliament?
Right? You were the one.
He's saying that. He was saying that. Oh no, the speaker have directed them to do this, but it was saying same committees.
Okay, no problem. Eagle Club, who's also watching us, says our money or got it chop nyama. Anyway, so
I've heard.
Yes, quickly.
This is a big platform, and every information we put out here must be credible.
Right.
I challenge my brother Kojo to bring out the evidence that an NDC member in 2016 has come out to allege that money that were meant for governmental projects had been spent on political activities.
Yes.
I challenge my brother. Let me tell you something.
Thank you very much. I'll do that by the weekend, this weekend.
I was a key member and very instrumental in 2016 election.
Okay.
At the regional level and my constituency level, as a youth organizer of my constituency then, and also as a action working team within the region. There
All right.
was no point where government money was given to us to work. And in fact, some of us were of opinion that we lost the 2016 election because we don't have the resources to carry on our campaign. So I find it very, very disheartening that my brother this afternoon will make this wide allegation on this platform without giving evidence. Meanwhile, a beneficiary, a candidate from them was the woman who came out. The woman was a candidate, a parliamentary candidate in the constituency. She is coming out to tell us that she is a beneficiary. What evidence again is my brother looking for?
Okay, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, let's talk about abortion in the United States. We'll be right back.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama, really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. This is the Ghana Agenda. If this is the first time you're watching us, please share the link so others in your network of friends can also join and enjoy the conversation. Please, if you have anything to say about all the discussions we've had so far about transparency in COVID expenditure for Ghana, please put your comments or questions in the comment section and I'll be happy to read them out. For the second segment of our program today, we are going to talk about the repeal of Roe v. Wade, which is the law or the landmark law that in the United States, kind of regulates abortions across the various states. This issue of abortion is a moral issue, according to what the judge who delivered the ruling actually said, which is Judge Alito. Judge Alito says that abortion presents a profound moral issue on which Americans hold sharp conflicting views. Some believe that a human person comes into being at conception and that abortion ends an innocent life. Others feel just as strongly that any regulation of abortion invades a woman's right to control her own body and prevents women from achieving full equality. Still, others in a third group think that abortion should be allowed under some but not all circumstances, and those within this group hold a variety of views about whether the restriction that should be imposed or whatever the restrictions that should be imposed. So they did a kind of a historical analysis of where abortion laws have actually placed in the country in the various states over the years, just to kind of determine what the American society believes in. So before Roe v. Wade, according to the court, 26 states out of the 37 that actually formed the Union, or before even the 14th Amendment in 1863, 26 out of 37 states present then had anti-abortion laws. Even after Roe v. Wade, even after the 14th Amendment was passed, that majority of the states that came along later on to join the Union also have a version of anti-abortion law, with the exception of just one of them. So the history of America is such that the states over the years have all endorsed laws that prevented some form of abortion. Now, Roe v. Wade came in the 1970s, right? What Roe v. Wade did was that it established a scheme for determining what time in the pregnancy window should states actually have what they describe as a compelling interest in preventing the rights of the fetus. They say that there should be 3 trimesters, or there should be trimesters should be used by, there should be a trimester divided in the number of weeks of pregnancy, and that's at that 26th week of pregnancy that the baby begins to now have the features of human, and so any abortion after that can be regulated by the states. But anything before the first trimester ends, which is the 26th week of pregnancy, that the state should not necessarily regulate that the woman has, or the woman's interest should prevail, and not the state's interest. And so the woman should have a choice to be made there as to whether they want to keep the baby or discontinue the pregnancy. This, the basis of that argument was that, it is not clear when humans or babies or fetus become a human being. But others disagree. People criticize this law over the years. This has been one of the most controversial laws in the United States, where even if a Supreme Court judge is being confirmed, one of the key questions asked is, how would you vote on Roe v. Wade? So this is a matter that divided the country for a very long time. Now, in 1992, another case went to the Supreme Court from Pennsylvania, which is, they call it Casey. And this particular case did away with all the reasoning for Roe v. Wade, but it says that it agreed with the central ruling of Wade, which is that, the woman should have the opportunity to make decisions at least before the baby becomes what they then refer to as a potential life. But after they get to that 26 weeks, that the woman should, the state's interest, or the state should then have a compelling interest. They use a different word. Instead of the trimester scheme, they use a different word called undue burden. They don't think that state legislation should place on the woman undue burden, especially with regards to pregnancy and when they make that decision to terminate search. So it has been a long debate, but it is clear that the courts disagree on. Okay, so Paul is going to make his submission first, and then he will ask permission for us to go. But it's clear that the courts have disagreed on this matter, so much so that there are several cases in the lower courts, that are, struggling with how to even apply this undue burden rule, etc., etc. But essentially, what the current ruling is saying is that the federal government has no business regulating what the states do with abortion in their state. That matter should be sent back to the states and their people to legislate around. It shouldn't be a matter of the states to a matter of the federal government to regulate. So let me then bring in Paul DeSoto and ask the question. Paul, abortion is one thing that is different from all the other rights, because if you look at Article 14, the 14th Amendment and the due process clause of 14th Amendment says that any right that is not expressly enumerated in the Constitution should be covered under the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. But the abortion regulators are saying that, or the Supreme Court is saying that, if you would include a right in the due process clause of the 14th Amendment that is not enumerated, you have to look at the history of the people. And the history of the United States is one that has been against abortion all these years, even the states that were in existence at the time the 14th Amendment was being rectified or was being adopted, 26 of the 37, 26 states out of the 37 available then had anti-abortion laws. What do you think? What is your your appreciation of what the Supreme Court did here? A lot of people get emotional and say the Supreme Court has perhaps exercised what they call raw judicial powers, because what they are doing here seem to be infuriating a lot of positions of the citizens. People really want to have that opportunity available to them so they can use it to plumb their family. The argument was made that a woman is in a position to be promoted, she get pregnant, and she can compete with the men who don't necessarily have to go to pregnancy because of the limitation pregnancy imposes on them. What is your position on this?
Well, thank you very much. For me, I mean, this is a very controversial topic.
Right.
But I'm that the part of people who believe that the woman has the right to decide whatever he wants to use his body.
Right.
Just as we, the men, we have the right to do whatever we want to do with our body.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it has been said, I think, and I personally think the Supreme Court's ruling was, to me, it's not the best of best, because the Supreme Court should have put in the law, and they still hold on to the Roe and Rules law, not going against it. That's not my view. You see, America is a very interesting country. Mm-hmm. America is the country whereby people goes to the store, buy a gun, kill people randomly.
Right.
And as we speak, the Republicans are refusing, as a common gun law, they are refusing to put control on guns.
Right.
But they have a lot of interest on trying to dictate what a woman should use. I don't think it is right. This is, hypocrisy at its highest level.
But they are saying that it's not necessarily about the woman, it's about the baby, because they're looking at, okay, so the law, what actually brought this issue is a Mississippi law that says that instead of the 26 weeks that Roe v. Wade had demarcated as the first trimester and you shouldn't do abortion, then they brought it to 15 months because 15 weeks, because science tells them that by 15th week the baby has formed all the human parts, hair, their heart is even beating, and etc. And the process used to conduct those abortions includes cutting the babies into pieces or shredding them in the woman's stomach and vacuuming them. And they say that process is dehumanizing to even the doctors involved, and it's just barbaric. And this is why
they can make a case. Okay, I'm a Christian,
right?
I don't support abortion. Okay,
mm-hmm.
But the question is, people have the right to do or decide whatever they want to do with their body. Right. I'm saying the way they have a lot of, zeal to get and make sure that people stop having abortion. I'm just urging the Republicans to put the same zeal and energy into us passing a gun law, a restrict gun law, to stop the killing that goes on every day, where people go and buy gun. Anybody insane will just walk to the store because the person is 18 years and above. He can just buy a gun and then just go and kill people. It's the same thing. So for me, I am saying it's a very controversial topic. I don't want to go into, the merit and demerit. I am saying that, the only thing I just want to put over here is that we should allow the women, our mothers, our aunties, our wives,
mm-hmm.
they should make a decision of their body. They should decide what they want to use their body for. We should not be telling them what they should do, because likewise, if they do this thing to us, we will not like it. And I'm someone who believes in the golden rule and do unto others what you want others to do unto you. So for me, I personally think that the ruling from the Supreme Court is unfortunate, but hey, that's the court of the land. So what do? We respect it. But the good part of it is that they are saying that states can make a decision as to whether they want to allow it or not to allow it. And I'm happy that in my state, Massachusetts, abortion is allowed. So the ruling that has been passed by the Supreme Court is not going to have any impact on anybody in my state. That's what I can say for a fact. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul, and thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you for taking the time Thank you. Okay, so let me take it to the doctor. Dr. Ato, you are in the medical field, so let me hear what you think about this ruling. This ruling is not necessarily saying abortion is banned in the United States, like Paul just indicated. This is just saying we are returning the decision, the regulation of abortion to the states where it actually belongs, because historically that is America. That Roe v. Wade was an extra exercise of raw judicial power, and the reason wasn't, it wasn't properly taught. The decision in Roe v. Wade was, just a bad one, and so at some point it has to be done away with. And other cases that follow Roe v. Wade, like the case he said we couldn't repeal Roe v. Wade because of stare decisis, which means that a matter that is already decided should stay decided and it shouldn't be arbitrarily changed. But Judge Alito did excellent work on that, saying that the only time we even change laws. For instance, if you read, if you know about the Brown versus Board of Education, to allow segregated schools to actually come together, or to ban segregating schools in states, that was overturning a previous law which actually kept separated but equal doctrine, which means that schools can be separated but hoping that they are all equal. But they say no, that can't be the case. You're in the same state, the same district, the same county. You should have a school system that is integrated. So saying that stare decisis requires that what is already decided to stay doesn't hold. That when it comes to constitutional matters or interpreting the Constitution, stare decisis is at the weakest. What is your understanding of this whole trimester layout, which the court described as though the Supreme Court in Roe v. Wade was trying to be legislators? Like what they did there, putting some demarcation to say 26 weeks is when a baby becomes vital, or vitality actually takes. Yeah. That 26 weeks can depend on so many things. It can depend on nutrition, the health of the mother, etc., because the definition of that vitality, or what we call quickening the baby, is that the baby is able to survive outside the stomach of the mother at 26 weeks, depending on the hospital system. If you're in a rural area, of course, your baby is not surviving if the hospital are not sophisticated to handle that preemie, 26-week preemie. But if you're in the city and you have a big, but law shouldn't be based on those arbitrary, sort of line in the sand. So what do you, in your practice and your expertise, think this judgment constitute for those of us who live here in the United States?
So first of all, I would say that elections have consequences.
Consequences, correct.
Because if you remember, Obama had nominated Garland, the Attorney General right now, and the Speaker of the Senate refused to even hear him.
Right.
And this is about women.
Right.
Women did not vote for Hillary Clinton. If
Right.
Hillary had won the elections, she would have nominated people who are brought to the bench.
Right.
So just think about it. Women knowing very well that if you're voting for Trump, that means that it's possible he's going to nominate all these judges to the Supreme Court. So that's my first argument. Like, elections have consequences.
Right.
And we should all learn from some of these things. If you're voting for somebody, you think that you just vote for the person. No, it has long-term
consequences. Yeah.
My second point is that I'm surprised Paul is getting emotional about this. I'm very surprised because in the law, it's not about emotions, it's about law.
Right.
It's about what the law says. And they are saying that it's nowhere near the Constitution that abortion should be illegal. One argument that Justice Thomas is saying, I don't know if you understand. So, if you talk about guns, we have the amendment 14th. Is it the Second Amendment or 14th Amendment? It's in the Constitution.
Yeah, it's in the Constitution.
So let's move from being emotional. Let's move from moral issues and discuss the law. What is in the law? The guns, the right to bear arms, is enshrined in the Constitution, and the
right.
But the right to abort a baby is not.
Abortion It's not.
It is not. So if you're discussing abortion it's not in the Constitution. So it doesn't matter which side you are. If it's not in the Constitution, it is not. And we have some judges who are originalists. They'll go by the text, the original text of the Constitution. Like I said, it's very controversial issues because they are religious issues, moral issues. So it's like I said, I, from a Christian background, don't support violence. That I'm not Christian. Not just abortion.
Mhm.
It's not just abortion. So let's not pretend as if abortion is the only thing God's frowned upon. God frowns upon all sin, including abortion. But in this case, it's about what the Constitution says. Is there any right to abortion in the Constitution? Literally written, there is none. And it's sad that most people, like if you think about abortion, if you literally think about people killing others, some people see it that way. Just think about it. If anybody talks about killing a kid,
Right.
I mean, but then who determines a kid? At what point it becomes a kid or it becomes a baby? And it's so strange that I am for abortion if it's for or rape.
If it's for therapeutic.
Yes, if it's for incest or rape. But over here, I cannot determine for a woman what they choose to do with their body. And that's not what the Supreme Court is saying. The Supreme Court is saying that it's not constitutional matter, it's not the Constitution. So the states can decide about it.
Is that something that they can regulate from the federal level and put a broad mark in the sand that states can do this, states cannot do that? Let the states decide. Let the people and the states decide. So if you feel like in your state you want abortion, do the advocacy, get the group of people together, vote the people into power in your state who will give you that. But leave us out of it, you know?
Yes. And I am surprised that people are, I understand the emotions because people feel like it's a baby I'm bringing to the world. If I cannot handle the baby, why shouldn't I be able to abort it? But that's not part of the Constitution. You know what I mean?
Even in the debate, it was provided that argument, perhaps it's, something that we could actually say will be valid in the 1800s. But now, even if you are pregnant and you are single and you are not married, society doesn't frown on it like that. Secondly, there are places today that you can go and put your baby and leave. And they'll take care of the baby. Like if you don't want your baby and you want to give him away, there's a place you can take your baby, go and drop your baby anonymously. Nobody would hold you responsible for nothing, and your baby will find a good home. There are all kinds of options provided today.
Pregnancy is not as simple as we men discuss. It's not as simple as that. Women go through, it's a physiological process women go through. There are so many discomfort that women go through during the 9 months. So if somebody says they cannot bear those consequences, I don't think that anybody should prevent them. But the Supreme Court is not preventing these women from doing that. They're only going by the law. And I feel like it's hypocritical on their side. When they were doing the nominations, we asked about sterile decisions to say, oh, is established this law or blah, 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 blah. Knowing very well that if they get a chance, they're going to change the law. You know what I mean? I listened to I've forgotten Gorsuch. I listened to the Gorsuch. They asked, like you said, they asked all these questions, and the answer was within the time. So that's my disappointment that they asked you this question. You said, "Oh, it's a lot of time," but then you go around and you find a way to change. That's change.
Well, they have a factor test that they did, right? As to whether a law that is precedent can be changed. They look at 5 different things. Is the law workable? How the quality of the decision? They look at all these things. And
but then when they were being confirmed, they didn't come up with all these explanations.
Well, you know, they will say that when the case is in front of them, they will make a decision on it, right?
Yes. No. They said it was the law of the land. So
it was a precedent of precedents. That's what they all said.
That's the case. The KC courts really made it precedent of precedents because
No,
Casey,
it was confirmed on all of them when they were
Yes.
asked.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I thought you're done with your presentation. I thought we can't hear you. I thought we cannot hear you. All right. So I believe I thought if you can say something to see if we can hear you, but at this moment you are mute. Maybe just unmute yourself. You are still on mute. Okay. So as Ato is trying to fix the audio, let me take Kojo, because Kojo, I believe you're on the road and you have to go as well. And then Lifetime Legacy, me and you would handle the last piece of this. So Kojo, I see you are eager to jump into this. So what is your position on this? Do you think
All
here
right,
that
so
Supreme Court?
this, for me, this is hypocritical and liars being appointed to the Supreme Court. Listen, I have 6 kids, so you don't know. I don't even think of abortion. So
Right.
if you tell me you're pregnant, say, hey, let's bring it down. I'm happy with it. But this is the situation that I have a very uncomfortable feeling. For me, this is what I think. I think this is a religious imposition of people. This is how some person thinks. It says in the Bible that you don't have to do this. It's a book that is written like any other book is written. Does it have a wisdom in it? Of course. But you cannot impose your beliefs on other people. That's what I believe. I'm not a lawyer, and I would not even pretend to know anything about the law. But if we are saying that this is not in the Constitution, right? The abortion is not in the Constitution. Ban of arms is in the Constitution. What about marriage? Interracial marriage. Is it in the Constitution? It is not.
Yeah,
So
but they're saying that the things about interracial marriage and like gay marriage does not involve the killing of a life. So there are different standards here.
Who determines a life? At the end of the day, okay. So let me just say, yes, killing a life is 3 months, right? Or whatever weeks they so-called call it. Now, thank you for that. What about the kid that is born that we need? What do you call it? Food stamps for? You say no. We need a startup. No, please let me land. Just give me the chance. What about the kid that is born now? We have the kids now. We want to start for school. Oh no, we can't afford that. We want the kids to go to school for free. We can't afford that. But who do you want? Listen, every morning I fed my kids. You fed your kids. Does the government know how much I spend to feed my kids? And
yeah, let me stop you on that one, because the thing is, the court can only look at the matter in front of them, right? So if you take abortion to them,
I'm not talking about law. Yeah, I'm talking about what the individual. The law was written by human beings, or was it created somewhere?
Yeah, but they are
all sitting here.
Times,
we all sit here. Sometimes when something happens, you say, "Oh, this law we can change it." We are human beings. The laws are made for human beings, and all of that. So this is the same thing. This is a precedent for 1973. How many years is that? Over 50-something years old precedent. And the same bunch of hypocrites and liars come and sit in front of all of us and say, this is a precedent of precedents. And there's nowhere we are going to go back. It's the law of the land. And the same liars came back and said, oh, I have this, I have B, I have A, so I have changed it. Listen, me, I will never impose my will on any woman if she got pregnant and say, hey, I'm not ready for it. No. Me, if you bring it, I'll say I'm ready for it. But when she decided, for instance, if you have a family who are like maybe 6 or 7, suffering to take care of the family.
But we are not talking about imposing rights on women.
That is what is it.
Supreme Court issue.
No, we are not
imposing any rights on anybody.
They are imposing their religious belief on us. That is what it basically is. If you look at everything, they will tell you because we go to church. The last woman that was appointed, she said because she goes to church. And all of them, it's all religious beliefs that they do have, and they are putting their moral and religious beliefs on other people. It's not about law. It's not about it. Nobody should even convince me in any way that this is about law. It's about
I
their
think
beliefs, and they are imposing on us.
you should
That
read
is
the
it.
judgment.
No, I don't care. Listen, this thing has started so many. I've been here for 15 years. And since I came here, this thing has been something that they've always been hammering on. Democrats have not taken it.
So the thing is, if
It's an agenda by some
let's look at it
people.
this way: if a case is wrongly decided, right? Do you say because it's wrongly decided? For instance, the argument is the ruling by the Supreme Court in Ghana that the deputy speaker can vote. If that was wrongly decided, should you say because it's a precedent, it should stay on the books?
No, don't even bring that one. Let's put that one aside. We're talking about abortion right here. Let's talk about abortion. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Kojo is running away.
So no,
My brother Kojo is running away.
Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided.
Okay, so see, today I happened to listen to NPR in the morning, and if you know that NPR, their justice correspondent, is it Toby something? That old lady, she's like been there forever. She said even when Roe v. Wade was upholded, right? But by then, all the 7 members that voted, all Republican appointees. Well, do you think in that 1973, that was the even days when people were scared of doing anything in terms of having your own privacy to abort some case or anything? But now that this thing, over 70% of the American people believe the woman has the right to choose either if some. And now, just yesterday, it started in.
But that's not the case, though.
It's the case because the woman cannot do it now.
Because
you get arrested.
26 states out of the 50 are telling the Supreme Court to, overturn Roe v. Wade. So you can say if the law in those individual states are anti-abortion laws, right? Which kind of, in one way or the other, try to ban abortion in one way or the other. Then that's half of the country. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can have the population.
No. See, we are talking about half of the country, right? You have all these hypocrites, both especially the Republicans and liars. Anytime you hear anything on the news that a mistress somebody has asked a mistress to go for abortion, is what? It's the same people who are preaching we're against abortion. It is Republican. It never happens in the Democrat side. So I understand the law. The law is not in there, and that is for me is a BS. It's just people's will that they are trying to impose on us and tell me if for instance if an incident happen and you're asking the person to give birth, are you crazy? What kind of law is that?
That one they say they have circumstances under which
it's happening in Mississippi.
Allowed.
That's what it is.
But here's the thing
in Mississippi.
Here's the thing too, right? What they are saying is
happening in Mississippi, Alabama, the same thing. I listened to it this morning. The law took yesterday when the pronouncement came out. And even with the intention of incest, still you have to give birth.
No, the Mississippi law says what the Mississippi gestational law did was it says at 15 weeks, right? Anything after 15 weeks, you can't have an abortion. Okay.
So if your father rapes you and 15, you don't know you're pregnant, and you know that in 15 weeks you are pregnant, then you said I have to give birth.
So they are saying that.
Is that what you're saying?
The state has several options available for people. If you cannot
they should just vacate their seat and run for office.
But
people are appointing you to be there and then making laws for the people.
No, it's because the state has a compelling interest in protecting the rights of the baby from 15 months on, from 15 weeks on.
If they are protecting the baby, when the ones that are born now, if they're taking care of them, we wouldn't be having this argument. I'm telling you, if the kids that are born now, when a black girl, see, I live in West Virginia for 8 solid years. If you go to the welfare office, right, you only see like 5 black people. All of the people that are left are white people. But because the black person, I'm not being racial here, will go and take SNAP, food stamp. No. they are going. We can free the black people, but we abandon and most of the people who are disadvantaged in terms of taking care of their kids are the minorities. Yeah, this
Right.
white, all these people, when they want to have abortion, they say, "Oh, me, I will never have abortion." When the time comes, they flew to Europe and do it, and then flew back. How many of the American women have that luxury to do that?
Right. Right.
Like I said,
Okay.
I have 6 kids. It's not like I will do it. When my wife is pregnant, we'll give her, I'll take care of because I can take care of. Well, how many of the people can do that?
Right. Okay. I understand. Well, good spirited, again, submission there. And I know this is the essence of the program. A lot of people are emotional about this issue and have different viewpoints, mostly conflicting, and that is why even the Supreme Court in deciding this thought about how people will react to it. But then again, they reach the conclusion that they can make their decision based on people's reactions. They are not elected, Their job is to make sound or reach sound judgments and make sure that they are interpreting the law in the best way possible. So let me bring Lifetime Legacy into this. Lifetime, I don't know how many kids you have. I don't know if you aim to have 6 or 7. I don't know how many you've already taken out, but as the law stands now, depending on the state you live in, you cannot abort. Okay. So what do you think about what has been handed down from the Supreme Court in Dobbs versus Jackson?
I am yet to have one, and very soon I'll be having one.
Sure, congratulations.
Yeah, on as far as the law is concerned, I agree with my brother Kojo. People are imposing their religious belief. When you listen to Dr. So very carefully in his submission, I am not surprised he went the way he did. And Dr. To and the people on the bench probably have the same religious affiliation. So in order not to take a responsibility of whatever they believe in, the only way they can run away is to push there's a responsibility onto the state. Like the Pilate did during the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Lifetime, your sound is okay. Go ahead.
You people should go and decide yourself. So it is the same thing the court has decided to do. They don't want to be responsible for anything, and for that matter, they are throwing it to the states to go back and take their own decision.
Right.
Now, in as much as whether I want it or not, for me, I think, like my brother Kojo said, the decision will be from the woman.
Lifetime, your sound is gone. Okay, come back. We can hear you now.
Yeah, we the men cannot prescribe solutions as far as that particular aspect of responsibility of the woman is concerned. They read the burden, they know how the situation is. So when it gets to a particular stage, we should be in a position to listen to them the more than to impose our opinions or our belief on them. So for me, that will be my position.
I don't know why you are all looking at this from the women perspective and not the baby's perspective, because the issue is not.
I'm looking at it from that regard. Like my brother Kojo mentioned, I think that a woman was raped by the father, or some robbers came to the. Like it do happen in our country, where people go into robbery when they first enter and they notice it's a woman before they carry on with the robbery, which is the main reason why they go there. They sometimes sleep with a woman. You get it? So being a woman find herself in that situation and is conceived, how do you expect that woman to, whilst you are looking at the unborn life, you must also look at the trauma the woman have to live at the with.
Perfectly understood. But so you're looking at it from the women's perspective and saying, I mean, this woman is going to definitely be traumatized because, and the law is not such that it's
Amazu,
hold on, let me finish.
I beg to differ on this one, but you finish.
Okay, yeah, you have your opportunity to come and rebut.
Just
The
from
law can solve every little bit of the issues, but there are positions that must be taken, and the position here for the court is saying, hold on, let me finish. The position here for the court is that the baby, even in Roe v. Wade, which was the law before, right? Roe v. Wade just says that after 26 weeks, right? Now the state has what they call a compelling interest to regulate how whether the woman has the opportunity, the choice to abort from that point on. That's why states that have abortion laws would peg it on that, quickening period or child quickening period, or from the trimester, the 26-week upwards. But other states actually even breached that and went below, like Mississippi, who did 15 weeks. And so we are saying that it's not like the Supreme Court in Roe v. Wade even supported abortion to start with. They still drew a scheme that should be used in determining when abortion can be done. But the issue is, should the Supreme Court be drawing a line in the sand to say it's either 26 weeks or 25 weeks or 23 weeks or not? Or should that matter be left to the states? That's all we are saying.
So if after 26 weeks,
yeah,
the woman who is carrying the burden notice that this can have adverse effect on her life. Should she continue to carry the burden?
The law gives that as exception to the rule. If a doctor determines that due to the health of the woman, that they call it therapeutic abortions. If the abortion is due to medical reasons, the law allows that, regardless of what.
It's not all the states, Amazu. It's not all the states that is allowing that.
But I'm saying that is Roe v. Wade. This is the language of Roe v. Wade. So if a state is, not complying with Roe v. Wade, somebody has to sue from that state, and that case has to make it through the system, like the way we saw Mississippi setting their gestational law or gestational age law act, they call it, at 15, and somebody sued, and it got all the way to the Supreme Court. Matter of fact, the understanding is there are states that have a lower threshold. So the Supreme Court asked the question. Today we are talking about 15 weeks. Tomorrow somebody may come and say, 2 weeks. So should we not just go ahead and overturn Roe v. Wade? Because think about it. Roe v. Wade is not saying abortion is legal. Roe v. Wade is just saying after 20, you can do it before 26, after 26 weeks. Other states are disagreeing with us. So we are saying that leave it to the states. So you got to understand what the ruling is about. The ruling is not saying all of a sudden we are banning abortion. The ruling is saying that, by the way, abortion is actually being regulated at the state level anyway. We are just saying in Roe v. Wade that do it after 26 weeks. But why are we even interested in this business? Leave it to the states to decide whether they want to do it from day 0 or day 26 is their business.
Amazu, can I come in for a minute? You said, so you asked my brother, lifetime legacy, if everything is based on the woman. Yes, everything is based on it. Who carries that kid for 9 months? Me or you? We just go and do our thing and we are left.
Yeah, but we are saying the baby.
Which baby? Which baby are you talking about?
Which we are saying that.
Give me 26 weeks is how many months? 26 weeks is how many? What, 3 months?
That's almost about, it's a little more than 3 months, right? That's about 6 months, right?
So, okay, that's fine. Yeah, my last kid, right? We didn't even know when my wife had to go do something in her throat. So she had to go through a scanner. That we found out she was pregnant for 4 months.
Okay.
Right? So some people even don't know, even when they are pregnant. Some even go into their monthly thing and they are still pregnant.
So 26 weeks, we're actually talking about six and a half months.
6.5 months. Okay, so that's a long way. I understand. But in the instance where some uncle rapes a kid, and they say, "Oh, keep it," some armed robber or something comes to you and rape somebody and they get pregnant. Some guy randomly rapes you and you have to give birth. Then why don't we allow regular men also to snip their thing so that nobody gets pregnant? That would be easier.
I think you are still looking at it from the wrong perspective.
Yes,
You're not looking
no,
at it from the perspective of
you're looking at the law.
the
I'm
woman
looking
and
about
the man
the
are seen
human
as
being.
containers in this particular situation, right? For instance,
Yes.
if a doctor, common law, which is judge-made law from Britain all the way, had always classified abortion as a crime. And we are saying that even at some points in the common history of common law, if a doctor gave a medicine to a woman and the woman had an abortion with that, the doctor was charged with murder. Okay? The doctor was charged with murder. But we are saying it is because there is a life formed at a certain point where heartbeat can be felt, where hair grows, etc., etc. Other people say, I mean, how do you know that it's a human being? Until the person is able to reason and think, that person is not really functioning as a human being. So you are saying that people who are mentally retarded or people who are born children, who perhaps are not able to think on their own, even at that point, we can just let the mother kill them? Is that what we are saying?
Quick question. How do we call infants? Have you used he or she for them? We always call them it. Is it all right?
Well, I don't know about that.
So you know about that. Now you're running away from it. Because we don't even know if they're human, right? And beside that, for instance, you're talking about 26 weeks, which is 6 months, which I agree.
I'm saying the law that allow the infants, women to kill their infants.
No. Don't even push me to that level, please. You just run away from it. Don't push me to that level, right?
You're saying that because we call them eat, we don't even know whether they are human yet. So would you allow a law that says, hey, women, you can make a choice because your infant is really not a human being yet.
Because that kid is already born, and I can say this for a fact: it barely would anybody be pregnant for 6 months and go in for anywhere to do abortion. Once the 6 months, your stomach is up. But when somebody find out in the month that I'm pregnant, and they said, I don't want this kid because maybe due to myself, I can't take care of this kid. Maybe somebody raped me. And you are seizing that person to take that decision.
No.
So you mean people can still make...
Roe v. Wade says you can have abortion until 26 weeks. So if you're pregnant in a month and you realize you're pregnant, or in 2 months you realize that you're pregnant, or 3 months you realize that you're pregnant, you want to take care of it.
It's not all the states. It's not all the states that are doing that.
Perfect.
We are talking about some states that is allowed. But if my brother, somebody said this, and when they were beating these people, you did not say anything. When the time comes and they are beating you, nobody will say anything. So I'm defending everybody.
Well, that's why they are saying that. Take it to the state. Let the state make that decision. If the state decides that they don't want...
Who started this fight, first of all? It's the state that started it. And they wanted to ban everybody.
No, we are saying that historically, that has been the U.S. history, right? But usually the states have to make this decision. So if the states and their people decides that, because, the people elect the officials into government. So if majority of the people in the state thinks they don't want to have abortion, they don't want to have abortion. It shouldn't be Supreme Court telling them that, oh, by the way, you can have abortion. If you don't want to be in that state, relocate to another state where you think you want to be associated with something like that. So it is clear cut. The Supreme Court doesn't want to be, there's nothing in the Constitution that gives the Supreme Court the power to be involved in matters that need to be determined at the state level.
Yeah, exactly. So in this case, they could have rejected this very case if they weren't interested in it. There are many instances that they've gone to the Supreme Court and they tell we are not interested because they have their own religious belief.
This is
they
one that
to impose all this.
No, this is one that divided the country or continues to divide the country for years. The law since it was passed, there has been over 50 attempts to overturn Roe v. Wade. So I mean, that tells you the controversy and the popularity of that law. And it is that the premises on which the law was determined were faulty. And that is the job of the Supreme Court. If you have a law that is not properly determined, the quality of the decision is weak and cannot hold, of course, the Supreme Court should spring to action and take care of business.
I disagree with you 100%. On this very case, the American, every survey that has been done since 2008 that I entered into this country, is 70% of the American people favors it. So this is a minority, loud minority, trying to impose their will on the American people.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, let me take last words and then we bring it to a close. So let's start with you, Paul. Lifetime Legacy. Any last comments?
Alfred,
get out of here.
The MPP government led by Ado Baumia come clean as far as the
your sound is gone again.
Prisoners are interested in what the money was spent on. The international community who donated money to support the COVID fight are equally interested in knowing how the money was spent.
Right.
So they should come clean. Joe should stop trying to look for justification where there is none. NDC never use state resources as far as state election is concerned.
Right.
A member of the party, a beneficiary, is on record to have benefited 1 million. I see that let the probe so that the truth comes out and to have opportunity to hold people accountable.
Okay. Thank you so much. Kojo, what's
my last word is like I earlier said, I know the numbers of the vice president, the president, the finance minister. There are discrepancies in it. I understand that. And anybody who questions it, I think, has that legitimate question to ask, which is good. But there's something that is going on in our country, and I will not even say this and blame it on NDC. We have done it. NDC have done it in this republic. I think there should be a time where we all come to consensus that, hey, this is a country that we all have. We should stop alleging and on people things that we know the truth, that if once we don't have the counterpart of whatever, we cannot just presume that people are corrupt, people have misused Ghana money or any way. It doesn't mean it's not happening. But once those things happening, those are the people that we all, because we all bear names. I have my name, you have your name, my brother has his name. Those are the people that we must be prosecuting. But we cannot just wholesalely say, oh, because somebody's alleging, it means that is the fact. Because that is a different thing. So we all come together. At the end of the day, the speaker has given the direction. What I am expecting from members of parliament, I think they went on recess, I think this week.
Right.
They have almost 2 weeks to go out then. They should go out there and do the due diligence and then come out and present it to the House. Then we know exactly what is going on. And we should stop accusing, because it always benefits whichever party is in opposition. And I'm saying this, I'm not saying this NDC is just doing it because of that. We did it and they are doing it, and that is not helping the country.
Right. Oh. Thank you so much, guys, for making the time to join the show, and to the viewers and listeners who stick with us throughout these last 2 hours while we were discussing these two very important issues of COVID accountability and the return of abortion regulation to the states by the United States Supreme Court. This is the Ghana agenda for today. In fact, reading the judgments of the Supreme Court, I found Judge Alito to be a very tough, judge in the way he writes and articulates his positions and all. The fact that he took issue with even the Chief Justice and his commentary on the dissent were a piece of artwork. If you have the opportunity to read the judgment, I think his portion is about 82 pages. I spent majority of last night doing so, and I am pleased that I did, because he opened my eye to a lot of things. And I'm sure when you read that, you would come out feeling the same. Anyway, again, my name is Alfred Amuzu. This is the Ghana Agenda for June 25th, 2022. Heading off to picnic now. See you again next week, and have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you, and thanks for watching. We would be back.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama. Really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT 1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT 1179663.
World